Awesome. Here we go. Brandon and Sydney. Cindy. Sydney's my name. I get that mixed up a little bit. We got the Tattoo Fam here. If you guys don't know them, they're on TikTok. The Power Couple. Brandon, do you want to get a little background on you, and then Cindy, you want to get a little background on you as well?
Yeah, most definitely. Well, Tattoo Fam in the building. Now my name is Brandon. And like and I'll go into my childhood just real quick. So as a child growing up, my dad was an alcoholic, raging alcoholic, mentally, physically abusing. And my childhood, I pretty much didn't get to be a child. I didn't get to experience, hanging around, kids, that were doing normal kid things. Okay. Um, I felt out of place because of what was going on in my home. So, all growing up was, I was on eggshells constantly. So, eventually, growing up into that, I started to hang around, the wronger crowd, I should say, because I felt loved. I wasn't getting it at home, because it was terrible. It was a nightmare at home, but all I wanted to do was be loved. Okay. So, I basically, got into a crowd of people that, that loved me the way I wanted to be loved. I
Right.
felt the love. Okay. Now, with that being said, too, at an early age of, I could probably remember back probably 11, 12 years old, that's when I started to, get into, drugs and the streets. And,
Right.
from that point on, like that was where I was accepted. Right. So that's where I started to move forward, like, okay, well, this is going to be me. This is what I'm going to do. Now, my mother, I must say, was a beautiful soul. Okay. A beautiful woman. I love her. She was like a best friend to me, but she was an enabler. Okay. And the only reason I say she was an enabler is because she was trying to make up for the wrongdoings of what my dad was doing. Okay.
Right.
So therefore, like I got away with anything pretty much. And all she wanted to do was she wanted me to be happy. And I guess she didn't care at that point. She just wanted me to be happy. She didn't want me to have to go through all the trauma I had to go through.
Right.
And, from that young age, man, I started to drink at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
And, it wasn't your typical drinking. It was malt liquor, Old English, St. Nines, and Mad Dog 2020, and so on. So, eventually, I started picking up with, marijuana and so on. And, from that point on, man, like my life, like I felt like I was in a place I needed to be. That's where I
Right.
wanted to be. I was accepted and so on. Um, and then, this is pretty much leads up to where Cindy and I had met.
Right.
And I'll let her get into that part too from her little section, and then we'll go from there. But
Right.
my childhood was not good at all. It wasn't.
I'm sorry to hear that, Brandon.
I didn't get to be a proper child. I really didn't. I didn't get to experience that part. So I'll let my beautiful wifey go ahead and come on
Cindy,
in.
Cindy, before you start, real quick, yeah, Brandon, that's tough, man. I sympathize with that. That is no kid should go through that. You know what I mean? Especially all that the trauma and your having your dad being alcoholic. Unfortunately, then you had to like kind of deal with it. It obviously affected you. Now when you started going towards liquor, like at the age of I think you said 14,
Mhm.
was that like your outlook for? Was that kind of like your freedom, like your happy place? So it was like a numbing to what was
Yes.
going on. Okay.
Yeah. It basically it took me away from everything that I was going through.
Okay.
Um, it basically I want to find the right words. It filtered what was going on in my life, and it made me feel complete.
I think
Right.
it gave him a voice too, because
Yeah.
he didn't have a voice.
Mm-hmm.
So when he was drinking, he could be loud and courageous and
Yes.
talk.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because at home I couldn't have that voice. I never got to speak, and if I did, I was cut down, or I
Mm.
was, screamed and yelled at, or even, physically, as well too. So, you know, like that was an outlet for me that, you know, it was good for me then, you know, it really and truly was. You know, I just needed that relief, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Man,
man.
I'm sorry to hear that, Brandon.
Well, I
And
appreciate that, Sid. I
and,
really
and
do.
then for Cindy, let's hear it.
All right. So I was actually born in a very, very, very small town in East Tennessee. So if you know anything about small towns, pretty much you grow up with the same people from birth until like literally they're still the same people there. I was very close to my dad. And at 7 years old, my mother vanished. Okay. So my dad stepped in as a single father, raising us by ourselves. But we were happy. I had a great life. You know, grew up with my friends and just had a stable, solid home. We were poor, but I never knew we were poor, if
Right.
that makes sense.
It absolutely makes sense.
You know, our needs were met. It may have been cereal for dinner or a can of soup, but I don't ever remember being like hungry. I played outside. It was great. Unfortunately, life took a turn for me at 13 years old. I was abducted from my school by my mother and my stepfather. Now, back then, you know, communication wasn't the way that it was. So by the time my father realized that I was even gone, I was, you know, 9, 10 hours away. They ended up taking me 18 hours away from everything I had ever known. And for the next 3.5 years, I spent my life in a torture chamber of physical, sexual, and mental abuse by my mother.
I can tear up right now. It was about to hit me right now, but I'm trying to hold it back. That shit pisses me off.
Yeah.
I'm literally fired up right now because I can.
You know, the thing is it's, you know, people will often scratch their heads.
Right.
People will often scratch their heads because you don't hear a lot about women being abusive, right? Especially sexually abusive, being pedophiles. Let's call a spade, okay? My mom was a pedophile. So at 13 years old, everything that I had ever known was basically ripped completely out from underneath me. I'll never forget the first night that they took me. The grooming started immediately. It started immediately. That evening they started grooming me to be what it was they wanted me to be.
Right.
So at 13 years old, my life shifted quite quickly. Their type of abuse was very push and pull, push and pull, push and pull. So, you know, they would starve me for a week or they would mentally torture me for a week. But then if I would reward them with good behavior, they would make all of a sudden they would make me feel great. They would hug on me, they would love on me. So they used their affection as a tool to manipulate me to give them what they wanted. So unfortunately, at a very young age, I had to learn how to manipulate the manipulator to survive. And that's just, it's sad for a kid to have to go through that. So anyway, they did get brave enough to put me in school because, again, like I said, back then there wasn't the same kind of communication channels, the Amber Alerts, whatever.
Right.
So they put me in school. At that point, I was terrified, right? Like Houston and Jonesboro, Tennessee, where I'm from, had one red light. And there was like 400 kids, kindergarten through 8th grade. Now I'm in Houston. I'm in a school that was 7th and 8th grade only. And there was 4,000 people.
Jeez.
So I was completely scared out of my brains 24/7. So I went to school at 13 and I kept that secret. I was very, very afraid of my situation. At 14, I met Brandon, which we can get into that a little bit later. But my freshman year, I decided that I was going to attempt to get help. So I went to my school counselor and I told a lie. What people don't understand, that's very typical of someone who is in an abusive situation, right? So I told a lie, and I told the counselor that I had a twin sister and that my twin sister was being abused by my mom and my stepfather, and that I was just there to try to get her some help. So instead of the counselor reaching out to maybe a child protective services or the police or something like that, they contact
Your
my
parents.
abusers. And of course, they bust me in a lie immediately because I didn't have a sister.
Right.
But instead of them questioning the abuse that I discussed with them, they actually scorned me for lying to them about not having a sister. So that was my first experience with trying to get help as a child. So it scared me away because now not only had I told someone, but I had to go back to that home with them knowing I had told.
Facing it.
So the next year of my life was incredibly difficult. They stripped me of any phone privilege. I got 2 minutes on the phone. The phone calls were highly monitored. I was then forced to go to a warehouse every day after school that my stepdad worked in, where I was forced to lay on a concrete floor. I was not allowed to fall asleep. If I did fall asleep, I had mental and physical lashings. It was absolutely torture. And this was all because I tried to get the courage to tell a counselor. So I went through all of that. There was a second incident where I ran away and tried to get help. And the police found me. And instead of the police asking the right questions, you know, why all of a sudden are you failing? I was a straight A student up until 8th grade, straight A student, and I was a huge athlete in my school. I was no longer doing athletics. I was now smoking marijuana to cope. I was running away. I was skipping school. Nobody, not a single person asked why. They just saw me as a troubled kid. Oh, I'm just that bad kid, right?
All right.
So the police got called. They found me. And sure enough, the police returned me
Back
to
the same spot.
the same spot. For a second time, the system failed me. At that point, as a child, I shut completely down. I had no trust for authority. I had no trust for anybody, to be honest with you. I knew it was up to me to survive. So I continued on. Unfortunately, I dropped out of high school at 10th grade because at 16 years old, I did escape. And they never found me. I went into hiding. I lived in the streets. I skipped from home to home to home because I didn't want to stay in one home for too long because I didn't want to be found. And I got into a group of people that, you know, society would call bad people. I disagree with that. However, you know, whatever. And I started working at 16 years old. I got pregnant. And I would walk 2.5 miles every single day to work to provide for myself and for my unborn child at the time. So I worked my way up from there, working at a call center. I was able to earn enough cash to buy my first car.
Hell yeah.
And then I kind of came to a fork in the road because my father passed away at 19 years old. And this gets me a little bit emotional. I'll try
Right.
not to be emotional, but,
Right.
you know, my father died never knowing what happened to me. And I will always feel like he died of a broken heart. I believe my dad searched for me until he couldn't anymore. He had a massive heart attack. He passed away in his sleep. And I came to this odd fork in the road, Sid. I knew my life was either going to go down the bad path because I was angry and I was hurt and I didn't care anymore, or I was going to decide to live the legacy that my father installed in me from 0 to 13 years old. And my father was a fighter. He was a Navy SEAL. Sorry. He was a Navy SEAL. He was a fighter. He was a survivor. It was his voice in those 3.5 years that kept me alive. And lucky for me, I chose to live my father's legacy. Can you not right now? Okay, can y'all take that in? Sorry.
You're good. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
It's the youngest.
Yeah, it's the kids.
Oh,
So
good.
I decided that I wanted to live my father's legacy and that I wanted that to be my truth. So I ended up deciding to go into the military.
Hell yeah.
And I pulled up and nobody was there. So I called the number on the screen and I'm like, I drove 45 minutes away to go into the military. So that's what I did. I ended up going into the military. I served as an operations specialist, worked on combat systems. I found my place. The same way he found his place on the streets in the game, I found my place in that uniform. I felt like I had a purpose. I felt like I had strength. I felt like I was somebody and I was living my life in honor. So I served my time. I ended up getting out of the military and started working for corporate America. And I didn't like feeling controlled.
Right.
It was very traumatizing for me because they had say over everything I did. If they had a bad day, they could let you go. Like, everything. But I also feel like my growth was capped in corporate America. I didn't feel like the sky was the limit. I felt like there was a roof on everything that I did.
Right.
So I decided to go into business for myself, and I started a business with $99 in my pocket. And 3.5 years later, here I am. It's a booming and successful business. I have 4 amazing kids, and that's kind of just a nutshell part of my life. But it is possible. If I can do it, I truly believe that anybody can, because I came from nothing. I had nothing. I was on the streets. I was a high school dropout. I was pregnant. I was every guy's mom's worst nightmare in their head, right? Even though my heart was good and they didn't know what my trauma was, they didn't know why I had gotten to that point, because society doesn't ask questions, and that's the problem.
Right.
We got to start asking questions. Why is this behavior changed? Why are you 16 and having these issues? Like that, I just feel so firmly on that. Like, before you judge, ask a question. And that's how I got to where I am today. It was my struggles. It was my hardships.
So,
yeah.
I'm speechless, Cynthia. I had no idea, especially just how you, like, I'll watch you guys' videos and stuff, how you carry yourself, especially in your lives, like, because you're dealing with PTSD, right?
CPTSD. There is a difference.
So what's CPTSD? What's that?
Yeah, it's complex. Sure, it's complex post-traumatic stress syndrome, and I'll tell you the difference between them. There's similarities within the diagnoses. However, with post-traumatic stress syndrome, it is typically an acute, so a car accident, wartime. It is a centralized one-time event that traumatizes you and that you flash back to and that you have symptoms. Okay, that's typical. With complex post-traumatic stress syndrome, it is typically when you are constantly, over a chronic period of time, re-exposed to a traumatic event. For example, sexual abuse from my parents, right? Re-traumatized by my counselor, re-traumatized by the police, got myself into very abusive relationships, addictive relationships, re-traumatized myself again. So I was constantly in fight or flight mode for years. And it wasn't until I was in my 30s before I realized something isn't right. I need some help. Yeah.
Well, shit, I'm glad you, like, a lot of people in your situations, dealing with all that, they would give up.
Yes.
And go down the wrong path and, use heavy drugs and end up in prison,
I was
because
one choice away from that, Sid. One wrong choice away from that.
Damn.
Yeah, and I'm not perfect. I did use drugs to cope, but I never. It was marijuana. Marijuana was my coping. I was a smoker. Okay, I was a smoker from morning to night. Okay. But I never, and I'll tell you, one of the reasons why I did not become a drug addict is because I was terrified of being out of control of my circumstances, because it made me vulnerable to an attack. And I was too busy being in survival mode.
You had to stay on your toes.
I had to be on my toes 24/7. So I did use marijuana to cope, but I could have. I could have.
Yeah, and you did it. Now look at you guys. Shoot.
I know.
Looking good. Both you guys looking good, man.
Thanks, Sid.
So you guys both came from, like, I don't even like to say this, but a broken family.
Yeah.
Not everyone's perfect. I've had my parents, divorced. My dad used drugs, um, prostitutes in and out of the house,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So not everyone's perfect. You never know. What that person may be going through. Like Cindy, what you're saying. Ask why. Like ask, hey, how are you doing today? You know what I mean? A stranger, you never know what they. Just a simple hey, hello can change their day.
It really
Uh,
can.
so for the both of you guys, like you guys came from broken families, and now you guys are together, and you guys met each other at a young age, and is that what made you guys like strong and like still going strong today?
150%
Yes.
for me, because I did not share my Brandon had no idea I had been sexually abused.
No idea, Sid, at
no
all.
clue.
But she knew what I was going through. She knew the trauma that I was going through with my dad. Okay.
Right.
See, with my trauma,
yeah.
there was shame and guilt and ugly and dirty.
Yes.
I didn't know what people were going to think of me.
So, like she felt ashamed of that. And I get it. But she got to experience it, like seeing it. When she would come over to my house,
Yeah.
or so on. So she got to experience seeing that. So, I think at a young age, with her 14 and me being 16, like that's why we connected the way we did, because we were them two broken people trying to survive. And but we understood each other.
There was an unspoken understanding.
Exactly. Exactly.
And even though he didn't know about my abuse, there was just a connection deeper than I think we will even understand, because of the trauma in which we connected on that level.
At such a young age too.
Yeah. So I think for Brandon and I, it's why we have the type of love that we do, because I don't think it's easy to be in love with someone who's an addict. And
it's hard. It's difficult.
But I have always said this to Brandon, and he can attest to this. All that bullshit, hard, tough guy shit that we saw in Brandon, the game, the drugs, the prison life, all that stuff, I saw a very broken, sad, hurting person. Yeah. I saw Brandon always. And I think it's because I craved so deeply to be seen myself that I could see past that in him.
Right.
I could see, I knew it was bullshit. I knew it was hurt. I knew it was pain. It was real, and it was real life to him. Yeah. But I could see deeper than that. And it's because I experienced a lot of the same traumas that he did, just in a different way. But I see past it. Even to this day, Sid, I can tell you with a clean conscience, when I see those videos that people post on TikTok of the addicts struggling, it pisses me off.
It's
because
sad.
That person is hurting. We don't know what their story is.
Right.
Why are we blasting them front and center on TikTok?
People laugh about it.
Why don't you go ask them?
The shit's not funny. People laugh about that. Really, that person is going through a lot of shit.
Absolutely.
And people don't understand it. And this is why, like we want to bring that to the table. We understand it now.
But what?
I understand it, like when before I didn't, because I was so like.
But what point in society do we stop letting people's ignorance be an excuse for their behavior?
Oof. Yeah. That's the coldest one.
Ask the questions.
That is the coldest one, And, when we were coming up, Sid, because she's 40, I'm 42. So when we were coming up, like the things that are going on now wasn't going on then. Like a lot of things were way looked over, like with the things that was going on with trauma,
right.
Like just for instance, with the cops, like putting her right back in the same situation. The counselor putting her right back in the same situation.
It was flat out ignored.
So it was ignored, it wasn't even paid attention to, so it's a sad situation. It really and truly is.
Same thing with Brandon. If you see Brandon out on the corner with his homeboys, getting high, you're just going to judge them instead of saying, hey, what's underneath that? What's underneath that? Because you're not doing that because it's just the fun thing to do. You know what I mean?
Hey, I was born out of my mom's womb to go do this. No, that's not true. I don't believe that.
none of us
people
are
don't
13 years
question it.
old
Yeah.
and see our Prince Charming and our Cinderella as a recovering addict, you know, ex-convict,
Yeah.
for, you know, molested, sexually abused, traumatized. We don't see that as our fairy tale, but it is our fairy tale. And I guarantee you our love and our connection, we will hold that up to anybody who has
Hell yeah.
had no trauma, because we're not afraid to ask the questions.
Yeah.
We're not afraid to walk up to that addict on the street corner and say, hey man, how you doing today?
You want to talk?
Right.
You good?
You good?
You hungry?
Hey, let's get a
You know,
bite
like-
to eat. Let's just sit and talk. Because I bet you in 10 minutes with that addict, you will find out a lot of information, because they're
Hell yeah.
hungry to talk.
Mhm.
They want to feel accepted and not judged.
Because
you
they
know?
never had a voice.
No,
No.
man.
They've always been
They
shut
get
down.
blasted on TikTok. you know?
Automatically. No voice.
Yeah.
Everyone will take out the camera, because I've seen a couple of those on TikTok.
Horrible.
They'll bust out the camera. Oh, here's $10, but make sure you get it on film when I'm doing it, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So-
Yeah.
So
exactly.
you're gonna drop them $10 and leave?
Yeah, and never ever do
And feel
do
like
it
you
again.
contributed to society?
Bullshit.
I get it. I completely get that part. You know,
The work that needs to be done is a lot deeper than a $10 bill.
Right. Brandon, Cindy, you know what? You guys just opened me up to something too, because right across the street, not right around the corner, there's this dude right by McDonald's. He lives outside of McDonald's, actually. He has like his little fort or whatever, bunch of clothes, and he actually sleeps. So he stays. It's like a little chair. He made it in his little own deal, but he sleeps up front and everything. And that's his home. And I see him every day because I do DoorDash. So I see him every day. I'll go to McDonald's, pick up some meals, and it's just like, man, I guarantee he has some, he has an interesting story to tell, and he needs his voice heard, like stuff like that. So after talking to you guys, I think I'm gonna, maybe in the next couple of weeks, once I kind of feel a little bit more comfortable, because I've never interviewed someone that's homeless.
yeah.
And kind of I've been around someone that's been on drugs and like while on drugs, so I know how to talk to them, you know what I mean?
Right.
But for homeless, like it's totally different. It's not totally different, it's the same thing, but I'm gonna actually look, you know, in a couple weeks I'm gonna go up to him and see how he's doing, and maybe get an interview in and get his voice heard too, you know.
Yeah.
That would be
I
awesome.
bet he's got some good insight.
Listen, that would
Right.
be awesome, Sid,
Right.
by the way. Like, seriously.
Hey Cindy, have you ever thought about, I'm so sorry that stuff happened to you. Have you ever thought about even like have you talked publicly about that?
I have talked semi-publicly on TikTok about it. It's very recent that I have done so. I've come out with my story on a couple of my lives. I have started a nonprofit organization.
Yes.
I'm the vice president of.
What's that called?
It's called Militia for the Children. And we are an official 501c3 organization. And basically what we will do is we help rescue, find, rehabilitate, educate boys, girls, and adults that are victims of sexual assault, molestation, and human trafficking.
Right.
Because it's not just the rescue, it's not just the finding. And this is where it is so important that we educate society. Mental health is real. So, for example, on one of the girls that we rescued, my first rescue that I was a part of, we placed her back, and this was a huge learning curve for us. We placed her back in the home of her family, right? But keep in mind, a lot of they brainwash you. Some of them get you addicted to drugs. You're afraid, you're scared. So what did this girl do? She ran right back into the arms of her abuser. Now, most people would go, why would she do that?
And
She's
wash their
messed
hands
up.
of her,
The police did. The police actually told us that they weren't going to keep chasing a runaway.
Yeah.
Guys, this physical and sexual assault on a child and their brain, it physiologically changes who they are. They don't understand why they're doing what they're doing. It was her case that made me decide to go full force into full rehabilitation. We are no longer just going to rescue and find. We are going to have doctors that specialize in trauma,
School.
molestation, and trafficking. We are going to have GED opportunities for these people.
Careers.
We
Oh,
are
yeah.
going to have job training. We are going to help these children understand what happened to them and that their poor decisions does not make, and when I say their poor decisions, I mean the aftermath. They're
Right.
making all these poor decisions because they don't know what else to do with their trauma. And we're going to let them know that those decisions are because they have been traumatized,
Yes.
not because they're dirty and bad and evil, but because they are victims of pedophilia.
Right. And you know that their minds too as well. You know, they're young. Their minds ain't even fully developed. Okay.
Right.
So when they're into this little society of what's going on with them, their minds they get caught up in that. So it starts to become normal in so many ways.
Yep.
You know, with the drug use and with the brainwash and so on. It's just like when you teach a kid from being little, you know, how to raise a kid on up, you want to teach them the right way, right? That's
Right.
what goes in their brain. So this is what's going on with a lot of that stuff, you know, like their brains are not fully developed. And, you know, and this is, you know,
Children
like,
shouldn't be built to deal with trauma.
no.
Right.
Children are built to be children.
And Cindy and I both can relate to this because as kids that had to go through the trauma that we had to go through, like our minds wasn't even fully developed. And, you know, like I just thank God that she was able to pull out the way that she did
Right.
and actually make something very good of herself.
Absolutely.
You know, me, not so fortunate. I didn't get to do that because at such a young age, I got caught up in the game at a very young age.
But now look
So-
at you though. It doesn't matter. Look at you
That's
now.
right.
No, it doesn't. It
Right,
doesn't.
because those situations do not define who we are.
Right.
They simply open the door to give us a platform to help others in the future. My past does not define me. My present, my today, my actions now. What do I have to show for that? You know what I mean? Because I'll be damned if I let myself stay in a victim status so that my predators still have control over me. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Look at the statistics, Sid. I want you go Google the statistics on the normal age in which women report molestation. 35 to 42 years old is the average age in which a woman reports sexual abuse from childhood.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to think about this. This is going to really get into your mind.
Yes, I know where you're going.
If that is the statistics on women, I want you to just imagine our men
Yeah.
and our boys who are even more victimized by society because of what you got to be as a man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want you to really think about how many of our men die with that secret in their hearts and their minds.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh,
if
yeah.
that doesn't make you stop for a minute and go, oh my God, if women don't report this until their mid to early 40s, look at how many men actually come out with their abuse because society said, oh, well, you're not man enough.
Yep.
Why didn't you
Yep.
run away? Why didn't you beat him up? Why didn't, oh, you must have liked it.
Yep.
Come on, we got to do better,
Yeah.
man. We got to do better.
Yeah, people overlook that. They
We gotta
really
do better.
They really do overlook things like that. They don't really pay attention to the inside of that because for a male, it is difficult, you
Yeah.
know, to be molested as a child. And, you know, like you get older, you definitely don't want to ruin your male figure. You know, you don't want to demolish it because you feel ashamed.
Right.
You know, like you got this, you know, this hard ego, you know, that, hey, I'm a man, you know, like, what are people going to think if I say this? You know, like.
So let's
It's
look at it this
crazy,
way too,
crazy,
Sid.
crazy.
If you see a teenage girl who's being a promiscuous, right? She's labeled a hoe, right?
Right.
If you see a young man who's being promiscuous, he's revered, right?
Right.
Right.
But why aren't we asking the same questions for both our boys and our girls?
Exactly.
Because young boys should not be being sexually promiscuous either.
Mhm.
You know, young girls and young boys, if they are acting out sexually at 12 and 13, or whatever age it is that's young, we need to be asking the questions why.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we are smothering our boys and our young men of telling and speaking their truths because we're making it something we shouldn't. And I say we as a society,
Yeah.
we
Drop
let
it.
our children down.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Can't hear you. There you are.
You guys can see me? Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dropping the mic right there, Cindy. That was, it's everything. It's just key. It's key points, and it just stays in your head. Like it, like right now, I'm taking notes. That's why you guys see me down here. I'm taking notes, like listening to you guys, because I learn a lot as well. But yeah, society really needs to open their eyes and stop, stop turning your head, stop turning your head the other way and actually, like you said, ask why. Like, hey, what's up? How are you doing today? You never know.
Stop being part of the problem and start being a
being
part of the solution.
Exactly.
Most definitely.
And then Brandon, I don't even want to talk about the whole prison deal. We don't even have to talk about it. I want to actually want to talk about more about the awareness and the youth.
Yes.
Right now in the schooling system, my mother's a school teacher, and we live in Fresno, California.
Okay.
And you have your North Fresno, which is beautiful, and you have your South, Southeast, West, whatever. Fresno, terrible, gangs, cops being shot at, some like a Detroit type deal, but not to extent. And these kids are living in, and like there's like 6 kids, 5 kids, these big families living in like 1 bed, 2 bed apartments, single parent homes, like stuff like that, living in poverty, not being able to eat every day, asking, oh, in your head, when am I going to eat today? When's the next time I'm going to eat? Being 12 years old, I actually interviewed someone. He was a family of 6. He was 12 years old. He was 12 years old, and he had to be the role model. Like, he had to be the dad figure. Stuff like that goes on. But you go up to North Fresno, for example, everything's polished. You got your 3-car garage. You got 3 cars. You got both mother and father. You got the golden retriever. Out in the front yard, stuff like that. You know what I mean? No worries at all. And especially with the funding, the schooling system, these kids are getting shitty education. The administration, they don't care. The government, instead of telling these, like, teaching these kids XYZ, what does that equal, stuff like that, it doesn't apply to your later life. Why not teach them life skills? You know what I mean?
Right.
Especially family. I want to talk about the family organization as well. Having that feeling of neglect from your mother and your father, and then joining a gang because it's more family oriented.
Yes.
That's what people society gets confused on, gangs, and more like the deeper issue of why people join gangs.
Right.
It's not because drugs, violence, whatever. Like Cindy, what you're talking about, people use it to cope with. Use Brandon, for example, him and his buddies, like for example, him and his buddies were at the corner, whatever, smoking marijuana. You don't know their deep issue, just stuff like that, that needs to be heard of. And Cindy, I got your nonprofit down here as well. I'm gonna look that up. And is it on online and stuff? I can do like more research on it.
So unfortunately, we are fighting with a society who has a problem with accepting pedophilia as a norm nowadays. And so we have been in a battle with it. We had our page taken down 3 different times. So now that we are an official 501c3, we are going to build our page based on a 501c3 and see if it gets torn down that way. But people, I don't know what is going on, but we are rebuilding our platforms. If we can't get it done on Facebook, we're going to move to Instagram and other platforms. But we did have a Facebook page, and it literally, it was banned. The page was banned 3
Her
different
account,
times.
my account,
No, the
everything was
business
just the
account.
business account was just banned.
It was
What?
banned.
Did you guys email them and did they give you a response on that or no?
Yeah. So Facebook's response to us was hashtag Save the Children. Was basically a cult.
Yeah.
What the hell?
And so because we were producing cult activity, we were basically categorized as terrorists.
Yes. So that makes you question whoever's
What the hell?
behind
It makes me
the
question
scenes.
who's
Who's
up there.
behind the scenes of this?
Okay.
You know, like what are you doing? Like what kind of person are you?
So we didn't have
You
the
know.
credentials at the time, but we have them now. So
Yeah.
let's see what they can do.
So it's on
with
a more
the
legal
credentials.
term.
We weren't illegal.
Well, it wasn't illegal, but but the 501c
It makes us
basically
legitimate.
it's legitimate, is what I'm
Right.
saying.
Yeah.
You know, it's not some organization where we're out there and we're going crazy.
Yeah.
You know, like we're trying to do something for a good cause.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
You know, so
Right.
but society,
I won't be silenced.
It's
I
crazy.
assure you
Hell
that.
no. Yeah,
society is
No.
crazy.
keep it going.
I'll
Brandon,
just find a new door to open because when the door closes, there's a
Another
window
one to
cracked,
open.
right?
absolutely. Yep.
So,
We can
That's
sneak
how I
in
go
somewhere.
by my life too. Mottos right there. That's a good one. Brandon, you're talking about the person behind the camera, the head dude. Even TikTok. I feel like TikTok's a little funny too because
Oof.
you have these girls and stuff half naked, and they're getting tons of views and likes and stuff, and you'll
And
have
not
and
getting
then you
down.
have a motivational speaker who's speaking their truth.
That gets took down. Their video
Their
gets took
accounts are
down.
shadow
completely
ban.
So I
all
mean, like,
that.
who's running the show here? Like,
Uh-huh.
who's on top of the
Sex
level?
sells.
Like, I
Yes.
get it, but go to OnlyFans if you want to do that.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, you feel me? You know,
Yeah.
like there's a lot of good people on TikTok that are doing amazing things. Okay, and they are banning them. They're taking content down. They're doing all these things, but yet you see half naked females on there, or you might see other things that are really disturbing.
Right.
You know, and they get took down, and it makes you even think about it. Like, what is going on?
Right.
You know, what's
Absolutely.
going on?
Exactly.
It's
Hey,
crazy.
Cindy, I wanted to ask you a question. You don't have to answer this. I've always wondered because I actually interviewed Elizabeth on my previous YouTube. She was a victim of domestic violence, rape, physical, mental abuse.
Mhm.
Now she's in drugs for 40 years. Now she's on the dean's list, which is good at Chico State.
I
So
told you
good for
about
her. But being so traumatized from like the sexual abuse and stuff, and you don't have to answer this, has it made like now, has it like, I don't know how to say this, but has it like triggered a way? Like, are you like more like standoffish?
Are you
just
talking about
because,
sexually?
yes, just because
Yeah,
it's
no, there's
traumatized?
no question that's off limits to me because I believe that knowledge is power. And if I don't tell my whole truth, then I'm not doing justice to the people that I'm hoping will hear my story, right?
Right.
So did it affect me sexually? Yes, it absolutely did. However, I am one of the rare ones who had the opposite effect. So a lot of people who are sexually traumatized tend to be sexually promiscuous because that's how they feel like they can gain love. That's who they identify. I actually did the opposite. I shut completely down from sex. And I was very afraid of sex and I was afraid of exploring my sexuality. And even in my marriage with Brandon in the beginning, I almost felt very childlike and ashamed because I even told him in a couple of conversations, I kind of feel like I'm riding your coattails sexually. Like I feel like I should be this, woman who's
Right.
exploring her sexuality and not be afraid to try these new things. I wanted to,
Right.
but I didn't know how to because sex to me was fearful.
Right.
I was afraid to relinquish that control. I wanted to keep hold of that as long as I could. So it did take me time and building a lot of trust with Brandon and, experimenting here a little bit. Getting the courage to talk about, can we try this? Can I,
Right.
can we look at this? It was not easy and so uncomfortable for me.
Right.
But Brandon was very, because I had communicated with him about certain things that triggered me in the bedroom.
He's understanding.
Not only understanding, but he's very dedicated in making sure that whatever those things are, that he stays away from them or that he doesn't mimic that. And so we have what's called a safe word. Okay.
Right.
So anytime in the bedroom, if something arises to where I am uncomfortable or I'm feeling freaked out, if I don't tell him, how is he going to know? So he could traumatize me and not even know. So we agreed early on that if I felt in a traumatized situation, I say this word. And when that word is spoken, it is immediate.
Stop.
Right.
It is stop. It is immediate. That way I don't feel like I have to go, babe, I'm traumatized. Oh, I'm feeling tricked. That's super uncomfortable.
Right.
It's super uncomfortable. So
And it
a
works.
lot of communication between the two of us. Now I feel very much able to explore my sexuality and who I am because I have a safe partner who took years.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Years.
It took me years to get here. But he listened. He did not make me feel ashamed. When my code word was said, it was stopped. And
Right.
because of that, I am now able to be sexually free. And it took a long time.
It really
It
did.
took a long time.
It really did. But, as a mate, when you love somebody, you're loving something greater than yourself. Okay.
Right.
And it's not just about the problems that you're dealing with. You also look at the problems that's going on with your mate as well. And, and everything about her, I wanted to learn everything. Yeah, I didn't want anything being left out, anything, because that's the way you get to know somebody on the inside.
Right.
Because remember, as kids, she never told me what happened to her. In which I was really mad. I was angry. I was hurt because it never came out. But I understand it. I understand why she did it. But it's been amazing to be able to learn the deep and depth things about her.
Mhm.
Right.
Because not only that, but I'm learning stuff about me too. Because I'm able to open up and see, hey, I'm loving something greater than myself.
Mm.
When you love something greater than yourself and you understand that, that's the most beautiful thing
Boy,
in the
isn't
world.
that change? That is change. People say you can't change. There's not, you're stuck. You're not, because that is change. Because for the first time, Brandon is putting someone else before himself. You know what
Right.
I mean? And so, it is a difficult conversation and it's not easy. And it's a burden for your spouse to carry because, there's times where I'm not comfortable kissing because something may trigger a smell
Right.
from my past. So being able to not take that personal and then not making me feel guilty for it is how I started to build that trust and for me to be free the way that I am today.
Absolutely. You guys are beautiful in and out, man. You guys are amazing, honestly. And that's what I mean, for now, especially relationships, I feel like it's more of a physical thing,
Mhm.
It's not actually understanding the person and getting to know the person.
Mhm.
It's more like, oh wow, she has a nice body.
Hmm.
I want to, you know what I mean? It's just stuff
Yeah,
like
so
that.
we
Oh,
smash that.
Yeah, I want to
right.
smash that.
Yeah.
That is
Right.
fun. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, he has money. His family has a lot of money. I want to be, and that's what those type of people. I'm not saying they're all like that, but from experience, those people have no character. Um, I rather have the girl that's driving, has two jobs,
Mm.
providing for herself.
Character.
Yes.
Exactly, and then you know what I mean, just driving let's just say a 1970 old beat up car, and she's able to go to work and provide. You know what I mean? I rather have that because
Yes.
she builds character. It's all character. Um,
Relationships seem to be so surface nowadays.
right,
There's no
right.
depth or root or foundation behind them.
Absolutely. And damn, I'm not gonna keep you guys long because I know Brandon's staring at that food in the corner.
No,
Huh?
we're
No, no.
fine. Take your
Hey,
time.
listen,
We're good.
I am all the way in this, man. I'm actually enjoying this
We're enjoying the conversation.
because like the conversation with you just alone is amazing.
Appreciate that.
To be able to discuss the things that we're discussing,
Mhm.
like people need to hear stuff like this.
Right.
People really do, man, because like mental health And PTSD, PTSD. I have CPSD from prison and all the trauma I've been through. Okay, all the things I've seen, all the things I've done. You know, so like the relationship side that she has to deal with me. You know, she understands it. You know, when she sees me get in a certain mode, you know, like she has all the right tools to kind of help me through that. You know, and vice versa with her as well. So it's a beautiful thing, man. Like,
Man,
food is not
right.
even important right now.
No, you guys, you're good. You can even eat right now if you want, man. This is a free, this is very open-minded interview. I wouldn't even call it an interview. I just like having conversations with people.
Conversation.
Getting to know you guys more, and my guests. But do you guys have any like advice, like relationship advice for like couples, especially like young couples? You know.
Okay, so go ahead.
I want to say most of all, patience. Patience is the key. And that's just for me speaking. You know, like patience goes a long ways, you know, because I have a short fuse, okay? And you know, like being with somebody that is your mate and you love, you want to have all the patience in the world, because why? You love that person.
Right.
You know, whatever's going on, even if it's my fault, you know, even if it's her fault, my bad, even if it's her fault, it's still patience. I have to do. Like, I have to be patient, you know, like just try to defuse in situations. Like, just being patient is the number one key for me.
Right.
You know,
I think the best advice I could give to a married couple, because my advice would be different if you were married or in a relationship. I'm just going to be honest with you. So this particular advice would be to someone who is married. You know, for me, we are all broken people. Our story, and there's no greater, no worse. We all have stories, no matter what. And just remind yourself that you're two broken people. In other words, you're two people who have experienced difficulties, you know. So be willing to forgive often.
Yeah.
Forgiveness and grace often. But in the words of my grandfather, in a marriage, there's no plan B. And that was a military saying too. I think too many divorces right now are happening because they have an easy way out. They're not forced to communicate. They're not forced to work through the hard things. So as human beings, we want the quick fix and we want that feel good right now.
Yes.
So in a marriage, there should not be a plan B.
Yeah.
Now, I do believe that there are certain circumstances in which you need to get the fuck out of there. You know, if there is physical, sexual abuse whatsoever, whatever. But I mean, in general, I would just say forgive and communicate. Forgive and communicate. Forgive and communicate. And, you know, for those younger couples that are, you know, just starting out, I think it's really important that you keep the relationship a priority, because as you grow, children may come, you know, jobs may come. It's really important that you put the relationship as a priority in your life. Don't forget the date night. Don't forget what made you fall in love.
Yes.
Don't forget to have fun.
Never forget
Don't forget to have sex in the backseat of the car at 40 years old. You know, like, don't let it die.
Explore.
Are you blush? Are you blushing?
I'm off now.
Now, listen, you
So
do have
funny.
to explore, though. You keep
That's
it
so cool.
spontaneous.
Right.
You know, like you really do. You keep it spontaneous, have fun. Listen, just because we're 40 and 42, we still are spontaneous.
Hell
and
yeah.
that's what keeps things alive, you know. And I think another thing that I could also tell you, Sid, is that about the relationship, and it went across my brain.
Don't you love it when that
I
happens?
hate when that happens, but it just
I
went
know
across
it
my.
happens.
But anyways, I think the thing that I was wanting to really say about a relationship is that I forgot what I was gonna say.
That is hilarious.
I did. It was right here.
Don't you hate it when that happens?
Ooh, I hate it. It was right there.
You know,
I'll remember it in just a second.
Brandon and I are not perfect. Let me just say that really clear. And we have had some very dark days, some very difficult days. We have had some very traumatic events with inside of our, dealing with certain things is very difficult. I am not one of those people to say, get help. If maintenance, if your car is broken, if you have a flat tire and your tire
you gotta
blows
go get
out,
in line. You gotta go get in line.
go get your tire fixed.
Right.
There's nothing wrong to go get assistance from someone who can give a perspective or help you work through, because there are certain conversations that we just could not have without a third party.
Yes.
I was stuck. He was stuck.
Yeah.
I'm not budging. He's not budging.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? Right? Is
Totally.
my relationship worth continuing? Yes, I love him. I'm committed to him. I'm committed to this marriage. So, okay, we aren't going to fix this. This is not happening.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to either find some other way to deal with this. You know what I mean? So I would also say that if you're stuck, don't be afraid to reach out for help. Mental health. Don't be afraid to reach out for help.
And this has happened to us. It really and truly has. Like, and then, we've come to this agreement too, to where if it goes back and forth like that, we'll say, okay, let's just walk away.
Yeah.
Let's just chill for a little bit.
We had to learn those skills.
But we had to learn it. It took over time. We had to learn these things, and we had to just walk away from that situation, and then just not even talk about it right then.
Never go to bed angry.
No, never go to bed angry. That's number one. Because when you go to bed angry, you wake up the same way. Okay, and then when you wake up that same way, like it could get worse than what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that is very, very important. Very important.
Yeah.
Well, that's great advice from the power couple. You guys are a power. No, for real. Like, I see you guys every day, and I admire you guys. Honestly, you guys are awesome. But one more thing before I let you guys go. Like I said, Brandon's over there eyeing the food. No,
there you go.
I'm
there
kidding.
You go.
For like the youth, stuff that you guys been through. Do you guys have any advice for those kids that are going through what you guys went through, that are needing that help, and what can they do if they're feeling uncomfortable or
Absolutely. And this is my passion. I mean, you just hit my passion.
Yes,
on the head.
I just got chill bumps off of that right now. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
Because this is where we went wrong. This is what happened to us as kids.
We didn't go wrong.
We didn't go wrong, but we didn't know how to approach the situation, I should say.
It wasn't even that we didn't know how. We didn't have the resources available.
Yeah.
Society does not have the resources available. And unfortunately, our government, our system is not set up to help.
Twisted.
But what I would say to someone who is in my situation, someone who is at home and they're being abused and they don't know what to do and they're scared to tell and they're scared to talk, find something. One of the things that we're going to be doing in our training is teaching international symbols of distress.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be powerful for those who maybe are too afraid to use their voice, but maybe they can use their hands quietly to symbol to someone, I need your assistance. What I would say to someone who is in my situation, don't give up. You can get through this. You are not alone. The situation you're in right now is scary, and you may not know which direction to go. And if you are too afraid to speak to that counselor or call the police, I encourage you to reach out to help. That's what I would say. Reach out. But if you can't, or if the system has failed you the way that it failed me, don't give up. Keep going. Keep fighting. Keep telling yourself that this is not your fault. This is not your fault. And the first opportunity that you have to speak with someone, speak your truth. Yeah. Continue to speak. Even if you come into roadblock after roadblock after roadblock, speak your truth. Make sure you stay safe in speaking your truth, because unfortunately for me, speaking my truth got me put back in a very dangerous situation.
And that's crucial.
But know that if I can survive this, I believe in you, and I know you can too.
Right.
Keep going, keep driving, keep fighting, keep doing you, because there is eventually going to be an out for you. It's never it's not going to be this way forever, you know. And I would say just keep fighting. Keep fighting. Mm-hmm.
I totally agree with everything she just said. And, you know, another thing that I would like to bring to the youth too as well is that, you know, like I'm 42 years old right now. And
And looking
because
good.
huh?
And looking good.
Ah,
Hey, I'm just saying nah. But no, you know, I'm 42 years old now. And, you know, like majority of my time has been in prison. Majority of my adult life has been in prison, and it's been behind the trauma that I went through as a kid. Okay, and trying to find the love that I was seeking at home, never got. So I got caught up in the game. Okay, I want to push and help as many people as I possibly can with trying to push them in the right direction instead of that wrong direction, because people could love you in the wrong direction. Okay,
Right.
and you go down this wrong track, and that's what happened to me. You know, all I'm telling you, all my adult life has been in prison, and it sucks. I don't glorify it. I want to try to show these young kids that there is a way out. There is a way out. And you know, like if we could just reach out to one or two or maybe three, we're doing our job. You know, to try to help these people to reach points of reaching out to somebody that they feel like that they could trust in their heart, that is good, not bad. You know, not the loving in the bad and for the bad reasons, but loving for the good reasons. Okay,
you know,
so
and I would like to say this, Sid, if I can. I want to
Yeah.
redirect. I love your question, but I want to redirect it because I don't feel like it's the child's responsibility. So let's say this: adults, start asking questions.
Right.
Start looking for those signs.
yes,
Be a part of the solution of child abuse
Yes.
and trauma and sexual abuse.
Yep.
If you see a young lady who is acting out, maybe her grades are poor, maybe she's dressing in what you would consider slutty, whatever the hell that means. Maybe her behavior isn't what you see as okay. Talk to them.
yeah,
Get to know them.
reach out.
Don't silence these victims
Yep.
with your judgment. You never know. It could be your child someday.
Yeah.
It could be your grandchild. It could be your cousin. It could be your family member. How would you want your family member to treat your child if it was you?
Right.
How would you want? So I just want to say to the adults, ask questions. Use more than just your eyes.
Mhm.
Okay? Use your other senses. You know, use your mind. Ask the questions. Provoke those questions. Well, why is this person acting this way? Well, why did she tell a lie?
Yeah.
Why are you 13 years old and smoking marijuana from morning until night? Why are you popping pills at 13? Why are you 17 years old and you have a 7-year prison sentence?
Right.
Don't judge before you have the facts.
Right.
Gather your facts before you make it. And that's all I'm going to say. That was heavy on my heart because I do feel like there's a lot of responsibility put on the children to save themselves. And
Right.
unfortunately there is. But come on, adults, let's do better by our children. Let's ask the questions. Let's get some education on trauma, and let's just be more aware.
To be aware is to
Right.
be alive, and I've always heard that. I've heard it for several years, and you know, I really didn't know what it meant when I was younger, but I completely I understand what it means now. Like that is the number one thing. Like to be aware is to be alive. Like if like she's saying, these adults, if you're seeing people, these kids that are going through this, don't automatically judge them and think, oh well, they're just some drug heads. Oh, they just want to do this. They just want to be a part of that bad crowd. No, the hell they don't. They don't want to be a part of that crowd. Something's going on with the inside of them that
Right.
nobody understands. You know, we don't come out of our mama's womb to be that way. I'm sorry, we just don't. We don't. There's more to the problem of it. It really is.
I think we just need, as a society, to stop lying to ourselves
Yeah.
about our predispositioned judgments. And I think we need to think to ourselves, if I saw this young lady in short shorts and a crop top and heavy makeup, and she's flaunting around, what am I going to think about her? But then let's say there's another little girl and she's wearing her perfect, pretty little dress, right? And she's got her hair all perfectly done. You know what I mean? Like, what would you say to yourself? What does your internal dialogue say to you about the two of them? And I think, this is way deeper than even that.
Mhm.
Okay?
Man.
I'm trying to say it without saying it.
Yes.
But this is way deeper than even that. Society, you got to do better. You got to do better.
What was that saying that you had told me
gotta
a
do
while back
better.
ago? You remember what that saying was about the dude from Korn, and what was it?
I have no idea.
Because it was referred to it. She don't remember.
I don't. It's just, we got to do better. We got to do better.
Yeah, it's
because we are staying stuck in a place that we do not need to be stuck. We are in 2021. Why are we where we are at?
Yeah.
In
Right.
a lot of different levels. Shouldn't
Sin-
be here.
Cindy, do you think Cindy and Brandon, do you think one quick question, do you think social media has like made like some type of awareness about it because there's been postings and people can connect through there?
I have two answers to that. I think social media has given a platform for people like myself to speak their truth.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, social media has given a lot of clout to a bunch of typewriter thug gangsters.
Yes,
Okay.
man.
So yes, I am thankful for social media to where I have a platform to speak my truth.
Right.
I don't have to be silent anymore. I can come on and I can tell you who I am. I can tell you what I've been through, and hopefully my voice can help one person.
Exactly.
But let's be honest, we've empowered a bunch of coward ass thugs that sit in the basement of their mom's house keyboard gangstering away.
Exactly.
So social media is a double-edged sword.
It is.
It gives you a platform to speak your truth, but you have to be willing, able, and ready to deal with those things with social media. Social media comes with both the good and the bad. Yes, social media has given a platform, and I choose, negative breeds negative, positive breeds positive. So I choose to stick with the positive.
He's writing it down too. That's a good
I'm writing
saying.
that down. What was that again?
Negative breeds negative, and positive brings positivity. So positivity breeds positivity, negativity breeds negativity. What you put out is what you get back. And it's true. And I see a lot of these social media, and I've been guilty of it myself.
Me too.
I see a lot of social media people, right? Let's say there's 1,000 comments, right?
Right.
We as humans are trained, right? We go straight to that negative
The
comment,
bad one.
and we're like,
Let's get it.
right? Because we want to we want to defend ourselves. And I'm thinking, you just looked over, Cindy. Cindy, you just missed 99 opportunities to give
For that one.
clout to the person who deserves it, the person who's supporting you, the person who's saying, preach, girl, go, Brandon, do your thing, and you missed the 99 for one.
For one. One negative.
And so I'm guilty of that too. So I make it a purpose. If I see negative comments,
We just keep scrolling.
I will purposely
Or
find
block.
one positive comment, and I will make sure that I promote that person.
Yeah.
And I will block and delete.
Yeah.
Block and delete.
Yeah. I mean, social media has we have learned a lot, Sid, off social media. And, like the good, the bad, the ugly, all the way around. And, everything is a learning experience in life. Everything.
Right.
We learn something new every day. But social media is a beast. It will chew you up and spit you out if you ain't doing the right things for all the right reasons. And we've learned. We've learned, we're staying away from them negative.
When you stop learning, you stop growing.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Period. So, everything is a learning opportunity. It's just, what are you going to do with it? But I will always be thankful for my social media platform, because it was the first time that I got to speak out loud on a public platform that I am not a victim. I am no longer a victim. I am a survivor.
Right.
I am a voice. If you
I
don't
love it.
have a
I love
voice,
it. I
I
love
will
it.
be a voice for you.
I love it.
Right. Hell yeah.
I love that part.
Hmm.
I love that we could be open that way. I really do.
And I bet you guys saved many lives. You know, I bet you guys have got messages too for advice.
Yeah.
But another thing is, everything happens for a reason. Unfortunately, for the negatives and positive, everything happens for a reason. And I mean, maybe if that stuff
let
didn't
me
happen,
save you the grief of saying it.
Yeah.
I would not change a single thing that happened.
right?
And the reason why I wouldn't is because if me going through what I went through helps
Yeah.
one little girl,
Mm.
I would do it over and over again. I would. I mean that from the pit of my soul. If my experience in life and what I went through with the person who was supposed to protect me the most, my mother, if one little boy or one little girl finds their voice, I would do it again with no regrets.
Damn.
That is definitely a tearjerker, and because it's so real, it's so pure, like, and this is why
I promised I wouldn't cry, and I cried at the end.
Who cares?
It's all good.
Who
Don't
cares
matter.
at this point, like.
I knew what you were going. I knew it was difficult for you to say. And
Yeah.
that's a hard question for people to ask. Like, would you do it again? Or maybe it was worth it. And I think some people have some guilt with even asking that question. Well, do you feel like it's worth what you went through to save it? Absolutely. Because without my experience, I am a fool. Society is a fool to think that it stopped in my generation or it stopped at me. It's going to continue to happen.
Yeah. Right.
And each of our experiences are unique, and we should use our gifts and our platforms to help and build, not to tear down and
Yes.
crush.
I think that's the number one most important thing. When we first started our platform, Sid, it was just for fun. Actually, we wanted to look into TikTok because of our daughters. Okay,
Right.
we wanted to see what was
That's
going
what
on.
everyone says.
Because he said that's what everyone says.
That's what everyone
It's
says.
true.
Yeah.
I'm
Because
that parent.
but we're that parent.
I'm that
like
parent.
we've been through it. We've seen
I
it.
want to know what you're doing.
I want to know
before
what's
you do
going
it.
on.
Right.
So we got on there, man.
My kids
and
don't have TikTok.
like,
just FYI.
and we're like, we're seeing all these beautiful stories.
Yeah.
So we're like, you know what, babe? Listen, we're two broken people that have come together, and we made something beautiful in life.
Hell yeah.
Like we've got something to offer. And at the same time, it helps us because we're able to help people that may be in struggle. I might be that person that don't want to talk about it.
Right.
But at that time they see that, they might reach out and say, hey, I really want to talk to this about this situation that happened to me. And it's happened for both of us, where we've got messages. And even on our lives, people have reached out and said, I've never done this before. I want to say, this is what happened. Like that helps somebody heal.
Yeah.
Right.
When you're getting that stuff off of your chest, you're healing.
Right.
Like it brings
You
so much
feel like
healing.
your abuse was not in vain.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And that's the powerful part of it, like everything does happen for a reason, bro. Like I really and truly believe that, and everything is a learning experience. It really and truly is. And pushing it. We're just gonna do like Kevin Gates say, pushing it. We're gonna push it.
That's
Buddy.
funny.
That's our favorite artist, by the way. I'm just saying.
Kevin Gates.
Yeah,
He's
I
the
love
goat.
We love a huge Gates fan.
You guys like all sorts of music, all rap,
All
music, country
sorts,
music?
all country.
I think
alternative.
I personally, I think I'll always.
He lost reception. There you go. You went back. You came back.
Okay, cool.
I think my roots will always be hip hop.
Yeah.
Because that's just the culture in which I grew
We
up.
born and raised on stuff.
You know what I
on
mean?
that. Yeah.
Right.
That's the culture that I knew growing up. But I love all music. I actually heal through music. I can vent through music.
Yeah.
I can be angry through
Live
music.
through music.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I think I'll always home is hip hop for me.
Always. From all the way from the old school to some of the new stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Some of it, but
Get down with a little bit of the Pac and we'll be good.
yeah.
There you go.
I mean, Pac,
Talking Biggie.
Biggie.
Yes.
All
Ice
in.
Cube, like all that. Easy E, even
Right.
like lower.
even country, like
Yes.
all every type of genre has a different type of
Yeah.
meaning behind it. You know what I mean? Hip
Yes.
hop, like your '90s hip hop.
There's no better.
The struggle. They talk about the struggle.
Yes.
Country's more like a living the
Yep.
the hard blue collar life.
Yeah.
But there's different type of there's meanings behind it.
Yeah.
And every type of music's beautiful.
Yep.
But shoot, man, that was Cindy. You guys both had me tear up almost twice. And
Hey, I
was
teared
trying my
up too,
best.
bro.
I was trying my best because I don't want to break it, but I was literally trying my best to hold it in, and I held it in. But man, you guys have beautiful stories, and you guys are both, like I said, both beautiful in and out, and nothing's gonna stop you guys. And what you guys are doing is truly amazing, and I admire you guys for real. Like deep down, like no bullshit. Like I admire what you guys are doing, and I didn't know, like Brandon. I thought like. I mean, we could talk about this another time in like a part 2 or whatever.
Most definitely.
And like I thought you just went to prison for a couple years, whatever, then came out. Cindy, like I thought you were like nothing happened throughout your childhood. Like everything was like perfect, you know what I mean?
Right.
But like you said, never judge a book by its cover, and like there's always a story behind behind the flesh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I appreciate you guys for being vulnerable and talking about situations that may have been difficult to talk about. But like I said, you guys are amazing, and man, you guys are the
Thanks
best.
for having the courage to ask the hard questions. Thanks for allowing the platform to be a genuine place of
healing,
of
sharing and healing. To
share our truth in a place of, because listen, this is where I'm going to give you some love. Podcasts. I've been part of the speaking community and podcasts for quite a while, and typically it's very scripted. You got your questions, you got your answers. So I really love the freedom and sit down with Sid to truly be able to explore the entire. Let's see where the conversation goes. Why does it have to be question? Now I understand the organization part of the question that.
Cindy, you there?
But I will say that out of everything that I've done, this has got to be my favorite one.
Right.
Not by far.
Because it's truly been a conversation to lead wherever it leads.
It's authentic. It's genuine. It's heart-filling. It's healing. Like it's so many different things in one.
Just appreciate you, Sid.
We
appreciate
greatly
your platform.
I appreciate it coming from you guys. I'm speechless. Like for real, I'm dead ass speechless. But like you said, Cindy, like I don't even before this, like I don't have questions to prepare. I want more of a conversation, and I want you guys to take the podcast. This is your guys' whatever you want to call it, YouTube, whatever. I want you guys to take it. It's your guys' life story. I'm not gonna sit here. Like you said, question 1, question 3. Nah, that's bullshit to me. But society, they love to,
They want
like
the
even
news,
Joe.
They want the drama. They want the tea.
Right. Even Joe Rogan. Like I could have talked about, what was your worst experience in prison?
Right.
What did you get in any fights in prison? Like, come, like
we already know the answers.
We already know the answers.
It's
and it sucked.
Right. Exactly.
All of it sucked.
But let's talk about the aftermath. Let's talk about how we think about it. Let's talk about the mental health. Let's talk about the reform. Let's talk about changing perceptions in society.
Because the after prison,
those stories get old after a while.
In prison is a cakewalk when you get institutionalized in part of that. Okay, it's a cakewalk because you got it down. It's a system. Okay, now the real deal is when you get your ass out of prison and you're trying to live life, on life's terms. You don't know how to do it, and it's difficult for people that are coming out doing all this time. It is hard. I'm 4 years out.
Hell yeah.
Coming up month, man. And
Congrats,
this is the longest that I've been home since I was 17 years old, Sid. Since I was 17 years old. And I'm proud of that.
Yep, we should.
I'm proud of that because for one time in my life, I actually feel like I'm starting to understand life.
Right.
You know, like I'm getting it.
And it's not because of anything other than Brandon recognizing that there needed to be change within.
Yes.
It was much deeper than
Yeah.
the tough boy and the game and the
Yeah.
drugs and the sex and the alcohol.
I had to take that shield off.
Mhm.
That
Right.
hard shield that I put over me, I had to bring that shit off.
Right.
You know, the only way that you're going to heal, and that's anybody in life, is if you open up and you tell it.
Right.
You open
Absolutely.
up and you tell it, and you preach it, and you speak it into existence.
Hell
You know,
yeah.
that's the only way you're going to heal.
Absolutely.
And, you know, like it's hard.
Thank
for people.
you, Sid.
But you've been amazing.
Yes.
We love you, Sid. Like you're like, listen, I
Oh
see
my
big.
God.
No, we do, man. I really do. Like, I love what he does, but
Yeah.
I see him going to some big places.
Oh yeah.
I
yeah.
really and truly do. And I've told Sid
hope.
this since like, I don't know what, last week I said, man, I see Sid really going somewhere.
You've been saying that, B. You've been
Man,
you know,
bro.
supporting me. Both of you guys
Yeah.
have been
I was
supporting
gonna say
me.
2 weeks. He's been saying that from the minute you contacted us. He's like, I just really see something in this guy.
I do, man.
And you know, it's an honor to be able to be a privilege at your roots, in your
I appreciate
beginnings. You know what I mean? Because you know, 2 years from now, we're gonna look back and be like,
You're gonna have millions.
we were right there.
Shit.
You know, we were
Oh,
right
if
started.
if I pop off, trust me, everyone that I've interviewed, because I'm obviously not getting money for this, but if I hopefully I can give shits less about the money. It's just about, you know, my guess. I will be for sure having you guys back on, you know, funding you guys, flying you guys out and stuff. But because my goals are to have my own spot, have my own setup, have my
We're
guests
rooting
come
for
in.
you.
Hey, we're rooting
I
for you,
appreciate it,
and
yeah.
I guarantee you it'll happen. I know it'll happen. I
Well,
feel it.
Speak it into existence.
Your
Sid.
drive is out of this world,
Speak
bro.
it into existence.
Like,
no
appreciate it.
plan B, Sid.
No plan
Hell
B.
no. I appreciate it. No plan Bs. No
You
plan
got
Bs.
this.
I just want to see the smile.
Failure
on my face.
isn't an
plan
option,
Bs.
Sid. You
Yeah,
got
right.
this.
Well, I honest to God love the both of you guys. I thank you for your support. Thank you for rocking with me. I'm gonna stay rocking with you guys until the wheels fall off, but it won't fall
Already,
off.
baby.
It doesn't fall off. But like I said, I appreciate you guys for coming on here. It
Thanks,
truly
Sid.
means the most to me. And I'm gonna stay in contact with the both of you guys for sure.
Most
We
definitely.
look forward to our
Awesome.
continued friendship with you, Sid. Thanks so much.
Love you guys both. You guys eat up, Brandon. I know you're eyeing that food.
I'm
bro.
hungry. I'm gonna start beating his
Or
ass.
Cindy.
Damn.
Damn.
I'm hungry.
We
Brandon,
love,
Cindy's
hey,
hungry.
we love you too, Sid, man. I love you too, baby.
Love you guys.
We love you, Sid.
Bye,
Appreciate it.
guys.
Have a good
Have a
one,
good
bro.
one.